Since I last did this podcast, there have been some uh, awesome people that have contributed to the Buy Me a Coffee, right? So um, I came up with this idea. When I was a child, right, I used to collect these little saga seeds, right? And I've always, when I looked at this, I would think about love, right? When I was a child, I used to think that these were little hearts that were dropping from a tree, and now whenever I look at it, I just think this represents love, right? So good folks, like I said, have contributed to the Buy Me a Coffee, and so what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna put these seeds into a jar. So every time somebody contributes, I'll give you a shout out on the show, and we get to see this jar fill up in time. I don't know how long, 1 year, 2 years, I don't know. But so let me thank these people first, right? Chris Hope bought 8 the last time. Giles Rakiza bought 3. Peter and his girlfriend, they bought 6. AJ bought 5. Warren Sheldon 1, and then a bunch of anonymous folks bought 8, right? So there's 31 seeds that I'm going to put into this jar. Yeah. And then, like I said, I just want to watch this grow. It's going to be my jar of love. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TNBS. Today I have with me, not really with me, he's in his house, I'm in my house. I have Jerry Hinds, everyone.
Hi,
How are you, man?
I'm cool. I'm just recovering from the Singapore Comic Con, so yeah, I'm
Ah,
just I'm just chilling at the moment.
okay. How was the Singapore Comic Con?
Oh, it was very good for us. We sold over a couple of hundred comics, which is the most we've ever sold.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, it was good.
The first time I saw you, right? The first thing I thought about was Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Because of your hair, and
All
then I,
right.
and then after that, I thought of this guy. I had to write down his name, man. Donald King, the legendary boxing promoter.
Yes, from the US,
Yeah,
Don King. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that's that's the second thing I thought of. Are you into boxing at all?
Well, my brother's a professional referee, and yes, I used to follow boxing for many years. I
Hmm.
wasn't trying to impersonate Don King, but no, I'm quite a big boxing fan. Yes,
Right. Okay. So the first time I met Jerry, right, was at this stand up comedy event,
yes.
right, and then he came on stage. I went like, okay, this guy's not local. What brought you to Singapore, man?
A usual one for guys, right? It's a woman. A woman brought me here. It's amazing how many females from Singapore go
Uh-huh.
abroad for an education but come back with a husband. But yeah, I used to live in Reading. It's a town in UK,
Yeah.
and my wife was studying law at the Reading University. That's where we met. And
Ah.
I came here once for holiday, and I'm a food lover, and
Hmm.
Singapore's a food paradise. And I used to work in advertising and design, so to get a job here wasn't that difficult. So I
Okay.
thought, yeah, I'll try something different. Let's see what it's like. And I really like Singapore.
So what's your favorite dish in Singapore?
Okay, I have to say my absolute favorite. Okay, now I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I'm going to sit on the fence.
Uh huh.
There's two, of course, chicken rice and ayam masak merah.
Ayam masak merah. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, but that latter one, ayam masak merah now, is not as common to find. It's not as easy to find now as it was in the 90s.
Mm.
No, I think it takes a bit of effort to cook. So times, if you can make money making something, that's easier to make. So I can understand. But yes, chicken rice and ayam masak merah.
Hey,
These two
but
are my favorite.
but chicken rice is not easy to make, right? To
No,
to perfect it. Yeah.
yes. Um, well, luckily that one is still here in abundance.
Okay. So where's your favorite chicken rice place?
Now, here's the thing. You see, I find that the standard of Singapore food is pretty good right across the board. I mean, if you find a coffee shop stall that's in any way substandard, it won't last 3 months. It will instantly close down. So even the worst chicken rice is still palatable.
Mm.
So downstairs from my house here in Hougang, there's a great chicken rice stall there, and I find that most chicken rice here is of a very good standard. So anywhere I go and I see it, I just know it's going to be at a certain level. But of course, near my house here, I have to vouch for this because it's downstairs. And
So,
if they see me next time and I don't say it's them, I know they might do something to my chicken rice.
so which part of Hougang do you live?
I live block. Well, I give up my address. No,
No,
I
no,
won't give up
no.
my address. Okay, I just say I live in the Avenue 8 area,
Ah,
the old gangster neighborhood. I understand
okay, okay.
near Punggol Park.
Yes, I know exactly where you live now. Yeah, because for a lot of my teenage years, I used to hang out at Punggol Park.
All right,
Yeah,
that's where I go
yeah.
jogging.
Ah, okay, okay.
Okay, cool.
And how long have you been in Singapore?
I've been here since 1996,
Oh, wow.
so about 27 years or something like that.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
about the time I used to hang out at Punggol Park, right up to 97, I think.
right. I was in East Coast that time.
Ah, okay.
Then I moved to Sengkang, and I've been in Hougang since about 2007.
Okay. Do you miss East Coast at all?
Of course,
Yeah.
I cannot afford it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's a bit of Singlish right there.
Yes, English is very useful.
So, brother, how do you get started in stand-up comedy?
Oh, okay, that was by chance. You see, I I'm the president of a local comic book agency. Sorry, not comic book, comic artists association.
Okay.
And one of the members, a chap named Ram, he's been on the comedy circuit for some years. And he joined the association because he does a lot of training. And he also trains with illustration. So he wanted some tips on how to draw. That's the reason why he joined the association. But anyway, we were talking one day about 4 years ago. And he says, look, you've got a studio here. Why don't you try to just open it up now and again for an open mic? Because back then there was a shortage of places for open micers. So I
Uh-huh.
said, why not? So we did it on the last Friday of the month. And that was 4 years ago. And we don't have a show this month because I was busy with the convention. But literally every Friday since 2018,
Mm,
we open my studio, which is nicknamed the Castle, Comic Association Studio for Teaching, Learning, and Execution.
yeah.
So it's Comics at the Castle. So that's how I
Ah.
got started. Then where you saw me was at Crane. And Crane, I know through the vice president, Mayhan, she works at Crane. And
Mm-hmm.
Scheifel,
Yeah.
I met him. I met him through music, I think, and they both work at Crane. So it was quite an what do you call it? Quite an organic thing to then for them to then get into comedy and that kind of stuff. Because the more venues, the more time for comedians to get some stage time.
Correct. Correct. So what does comedy mean to you, man? Stand-up comedy in particular. What does it mean to you?
Well, stand-up comedy is a way of telling some nasty truths. When you see comedians being censored, that is very, very, very dangerous, right? So I find that through comedy, you can say things that maybe you cannot say that in normal conversation. And
Mm,
if you can do it with the right balance and make people laugh, then that's perfection. If people can laugh at themselves, that's a very noble cause. And it goes deeper than that for me, because if you look at the roots of comedy, back in the Middle Ages, the court jester, he was your original comedian. They became known as comics. Then from there, you got caricatures. Caricatures morphed into comic strips or one panel comics. And as you know, they progressed into comic books. That's why sometimes you might hear the term the funny books. They stem from comedy. So not only did I have like a personal liking of stand-up comedy, but it also had roots to the Comic Book Association right at the foundation. So I thought to pay homage to this art form, why not? Let's do some comedy.
huh.
Yeah,
Interesting, man.
yeah.
So how long have you been doing stand-up comedy? 4 years, 5 years?
Well, okay, 4 years, but I've never really taken it as I don't really take it as seriously as some of the other local stand-ups. I do it for fun, I do it for a release, but you got some local comedians who their bread and butter is literally presenting, hosting, and stand-up comedy. I wouldn't put myself in that bracket. Like I don't practice a new routine religiously every week, where some of the guys they really are that, they are that dedicated. But I will write some new jokes now and again and try them out from month to month, and that's enough for me.
Hmm. Okay. I know folks like Rishi and Farka Fuzz, and to them this is full time, right?
Yes.
and they put so much love and effort into the craft. But
Yeah.
this other thing that you do besides stand up comedy, you're a fabulous artist. I've never seen your work till like a few days ago till I reached out to you, right? And I went to onto your Facebook page and I saw your of the work that you've done, and I was like mind blown. Really awesome stuff, man.
Well, that goes back to my youth, right? I mean, I was always a comic book geek. Now, in England, trying
Hmm.
to find work as a comic book artist, as in anywhere in the world, is difficult. So I took the easy road out. I went to commercial art. So when I came to Singapore in the mid 90s, I worked as a creative director and a chief copywriter.
Right.
So, back in the days, there was no iPhone camera, there was barely instant cameras. So back in the old days, as an art director, you would have to draw something, make a mock-up of the ad, and show the client. So I started off life as an illustrator,
Hmm.
cartoonist and illustrator. Then as time went by, came to Singapore, there were loads of comic book geeks here. Of course, as a writer, I was a bit older than all of my cohorts, if you like. I knew how to edit. So publishing was not that difficult for me. So that's when I then branched into doing some independent publishing, hooking up with some international publishers, publishing some work for some locals and myself, then becoming the president of the association, which always gets me a laugh in comedy when I say that I'm Singapore's first black president, right? I always start with that joke. It always gets
Yeah.
at least a chuckle. So once you start with that, then the crowd kind of warms up to you, yeah? But yes, that's how I got into the comic book drawing. And what you see now is my passion. And in the association, I do three things, okay? The
Hmm.
first one, well, you saw some of my published work. I launched number 5 and 6 of my Supercross superhero series. It's a 6-part miniseries. So that's what I was launching at the comic convention. That's what you're familiar with, happened last weekend. In the association, we have a membership and publishing scheme. Now, a lot of people, they dream of creating the next One Piece or the next Spider-Man, okay? Now, that isn't impossible, but it's very tough to make money doing that. But nevertheless, you cannot crush people's dreams. We try to do it, okay?
Hmm.
And to subsidize that, the third aspect of the association, the second and third, is we teach. We've been teaching how to draw since the late 2000s. And that is our main staple. We have weekly classes on a Saturday and weekday classes on a Wednesday. And we have students as far as India. And the third part is commercial commissions. Now, I mentioned I'm from advertising and design. So storytelling is always a beloved medium in almost anything. So when clients, P&G is our client, not Mitsubishi, sorry, that was when I was in advertising. You have HSBC Visa.
Hmm.
We have a lot of multinational clients as well as local clients. We've done work for Tampines Town Council. The list goes on. And whenever they're interested in doing something with storytelling, they come to us because I know I know their language and I know the language of the artists. And balancing that, the USP, the unique selling message or unique selling point, and also the artistic integrity. So, quite often they're quite lost. How can we put this into storytelling? But it's a process. So those three aspects, right? You've got publishing and membership, education, and commissions. That's how I run the association.
Okay, if people want to find out more about your association, is there a website or anything that they can go to?
Well, our biggest friend is Google. If you go to Google and you just type in comic book drawing or comic book association or anything related to comic book, we have a member, a guy named Shafi. He's very good with what's it called, search engine optimization,
Mm,
SEOing, and
yeah,
he always manages to keep us. If we're not the top in the search, we're certainly within the top 3 or 4, and people
right.
often come to us through that. But our website is www.acas.org.sg. ACAS, that's Association Comic Artists Singapore. So
Mhm.
acas.org.sg, you'll get to our homepage and you can contact us easily from there.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna make it a little easier for everyone. I'm gonna put this in one of the links, so all you have to do is tap, and then you go check them out because they're doing really awesome stuff. Um, so what's your favorite thing to draw? I mean, everyone's got their favorites, right? So what's yours?
My favorite thing to draw is superheroes. Okay, I'm an out and out superhero guy. Of course, when you're working in commercial art, you have to draw anything. And that's again why I like superheroes. If you look at a comic book, the artist needs to be able to draw anything, anything in existence and things outside of existence, because you never know where a comic book has to go. And that was always one of the most attractive things to me in comic books, in that you're never safe. If a plot or a story takes you in a certain direction, if it's back in time to the time of ancient Malays, you got to learn
Hmm.
about Chris knives,
Yeah.
right? If it's the Second World War, you have to learn about Panzer tanks. You have to draw literally anything. And of course, if it's a science fiction superhero story set on another planet, you got to create environments, modes of transport, costumes, hairstyles, art direction, everything you have to cover being a comic artist.
Mm, okay. Have you done anything outside of paper, like maybe on walls or, I'm just wondering. I think you'll make a fantastic graffiti artist.
Well, funny enough, I did a couple of murals in my younger days. That was for the Welsh Town Council. That's Wales, the country in
Yeah.
UK. I did a mural for them. I did a mural for my son for my first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I did a mural for my Singapore kids in our Sengkang house, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never done it outdoors. Not
Right.
commercially. I've always done it for family. Oh, and I've done one for my ex brother-in-law.
Okay. Okay. Let's see whether we can hook you up.
Yeah.
Whether you can do something for one of the community centers. Guy, I think it'd be amazing, man.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks.
yeah. I know children love superheroes, right? And obviously a lot of adults too, because all these superhero movies make so much money, right?
Well, yes. Well, you see, you asked an earlier question that I have to double back to this to
Sure.
elaborate further on the superheroes. Right? It's a nice segue. You mentioned my hair.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, my hair is yellow because of a comic book character named Captain Marvel. Now, not the female Captain Marvel. You're talking about the mid '70s. The original Captain Marvel from Marvel Comics
Hmm.
was a guy from the Kree Empire. Okay.
Mm.
Now, what is interesting? The reason why I like comics is that it gets into some very interesting subject matter. On the planet Kree, the blue-skinned Kree were the upper class. The pink, the pink-skinned Kree were the second class. Now,
Okay.
Captain Marvel, his name is Marvel. He came to Earth on a reconnaissance mission because they were going to take over Earth. But when he came here, he fell in love with it and then defended Earth against the Kree. Now, that is an elevator pitch. You can tell it's a marvelous concept. But for some reason, Marvel decided to convolute it. And I don't know what happened to the character, but that's a different story. But
Yeah.
anyway, during the series, Captain Marvel went through something called a metamorphosis, where he used to have white hair and it turned yellow. And ever since that, I thought his yellow hair was cool. So I dyed my hair yellow in homage to Captain Marvel, my favorite superhero comic of all time.
Ah, okay. So there is a story with your
Behind my
hair.
hair, yes, there is.
I love your hair, man.
But actually, you can see it's growing out now. It used to be all yellow, but the regrowth. You can
Mm,
see, you can
yeah.
see a bit of gray coming through here, right?
Yep. Yep. So are you gonna recolor your hair or?
Yeah, I always do it. I don't really pay that much attention to it, but I normally do it at least every 9 months or a year, something like that. Yeah, my
Okay.
wife,
Yeah.
my wife does it for me actually, so it's cheap and good.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to do anything with your hair. It looks good at like the way it is now. I'm looking at your hair. Yeah. I'm sure the viewers and would definitely agree, man.
Thanks, thanks. That great part is showing my age though.
That's fine, bro. That's fine. Okay, let's talk about something a little serious, right? There's always a link between creative people and you are creative. So creative folks and mental health. So uh researchers and all have found a link between creativity and ADHD. What else? Bipolar. What I've got major depressive disorder. So what are your thoughts on that, man?
By today's standards, I think maybe I did have ADHD. But
Hmm.
I mean, back in those days, these things weren't diagnosed,
Yeah.
and you were just told to get on with it. Now, I've always been, I dare say, a pretty decent person, right? I always try to do the right thing. But when I think back to my days at school, my attention span wasn't the best, right?
Mm.
I think that may be signs of ADHD. I don't have a university degree. I always found my way through just hard work. I had to travel. I think I had to travel alternative routes because the academic route for me seemed quite difficult. Now, I also put it down to maybe I was just over enthusiastic with my passions and not paying enough attention to basic education. Maybe I was like that because maybe I have ADHD. I'm not really sure. But I've never really been a depressive person. I don't think I've been like that. Now, something that I see with a lot of comedians
Mm-hmm.
is where I think, okay, I would say fraud is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed, touching on what you're saying, a a need for acclamation, or you get up because you want to be noticed.
Mm.
Now, I would say that I don't like attention. I mean, I think most people like some degree of attention, unless they're an introvert, which I'm not really. But I do things mainly for fun. Now, where I lose connection with a lot of my peers is that you'll find that most people in a creative space like dark concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always say to people, I have dark skin, but my tastes are very bright. Now, for example, I'm not particularly keen on dark comic book concepts.
Mm.
This makes like the most popular superhero. If you ask the average superhero geek, who is your favorite superhero? By far, it is Batman. Now, when I say to people that I'm not a big fan of Batman, I'm immediately marginalized in the comic community because
Mm.
and this, maybe this is signs of mental health problems. Sometimes when people go too far outside of the norm, people can start to question their sanity. Now, I definitely know that I can be very contrary on a lot of points, but it's not because I'm trying to be contrary, it's the way I'm wired. If your favorite color is purple, if it's illegal to like the color purple, and
Mm.
your favorite color is purple, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Are you going to browbeat yourself to dislike the color purple? It's never going to work. You like the color purple, right?
Yep.
And I've always been wired like this. From a very, very young age, I didn't like bullies. Maybe that's why I'm attracted to comic books,
Mm.
right? And I've always liked positive, happy things. The comic book that I just launched at the comic convention, the goal that I've set myself is that my Supercross comic, uh, I want a 14-year-old kid or 10-year-old kid to read that, and also perhaps a 30 or 40-year-old adult to read it, and both enjoy reading it. That is the goal I've set myself. Now, in the 21st century, that's not easy. But if I just make the comic dark, I think I'd get more sales, but then a kid can't read it. But my belief is superheroes come from the youth. If you can't catch the youngsters, there is no future. So I'm trying to write something that both a youngster and an adult can read, and it's up to the readers to let me know if I've got anywhere near that goal. And that, I think, is to my personality. Maybe I'm wildly eccentric. Maybe that shows that. So I have got a few wires loose. I'm always seen as contrary, but I don't mean to be. It's just the way I'm wired. And if you're really, really honest, right, let's imagine that there's no history. Think of a concept named Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a Robin redbreast is? A bird about this big.
Yep.
That is the lamest concept. That is so lame, right? I have no idea how they get away with this fame with that
Mm.
concept, but it's absolutely horrendous
Mm.
in my mind. Now that Noel may attribute
Mm.
to perhaps I have mental health issues. For me to say that amongst the entire world, I don't know, maybe this is a Kanye West moment for me. I don't know, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
right?
No, but I think you're just keeping it real, man. Like you don't have to like what everybody likes.
But at the same time, I don't want to be just contrary for the sake of being contrary.
Yeah.
But this comes from deep inside. I mean, the guy has no powers. It is ridiculous. No, I know escapism is escapism. I mean, that's the whole point of escapism. Maybe the fact that he has no powers and does what he does, maybe that is the ultimate in escapism.
Maybe.
But you read some wartime stories of what some of these GIs have done, right?
Hmm.
These guys have dodged gun, Panzer tank fire,
Yeah.
machine gun fire. They've lived through it. These people really exist. There are people who have done things that's extraordinary. And they have no powers. So when I get to the world of superheroes, I like to be taken somewhere which is beyond what I can imagine or perhaps even read. A
Mm,
balance, there's always a balance. It has to be a balance there somewhere. But like this thing called representation. No, I don't need any representation. I know what Jerry Hinds can do. There's no way that I'm taking on an intergalactic fleet. I'm going to die, right?
mm.
I would like to think I would fight to the death, but I certainly cannot do what Captain Marvel or Thor or Iron Man could do.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. I can't do it. I'd be killed on the battlefield immediately.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I mean that's life, right?
That's life.
Yeah.
You know, as you say, keeping it real, but not keeping it real. In fact, that was a catchline that I put. I was doing some Instagram marketing, and in my comic book, my superheroes, my Supercross series is set in Singapore. So you see fight scenes in Orchard. So
Oh,
my catchphrase was "Keep Supercross, keeping it real."
keeping it real.
Yeah, there's a lot of local landmarks. One of the superheroes even has carrot cake for breakfast. I mean, she likes it, but her manager doesn't like it. That's in the comic book as well.
White or black?
Okay, she's white.
No. I mean the carrot cake.
Oh, the carrot cake was white.
Okay. What's the name of your comic?
Oh, it's Supercross.
Supercross,
Yes.
as in a cross.
Well, it comes again, more geek behavior here. You know, crossovers?
Mm,
Right. People talk about
okay.
crossovers now, right? But we've been talking about crossovers. Superhero crossovers have been happening since the 1960s, 1950s.
Yeah.
But it's something that was firmly in the world of comic books that didn't exist outside of comic books.
Right.
The thought of Alien and Predator crossing over. This is born of comic books,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my Supercross, I spell super as in SUPA, super. So I have like a branding for my super. Like, for example, if in my world something supernatural is happening,
Mm-hmm.
or something is simply super, you spell it SUPER.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens as a result of superheroes, the police would log that down as a super event, SUPA. That way you know it's related to superheroes and it's not just normal super,
Yeah.
right? So it's super
Yeah.
joined to the word cross as in crossover, supercross. Because
Okay.
there's 5 characters in
Right.
my comic. 2 are local, 3 are from the United States.
Okay. So where can people get a hold of your comic book?
They can get it from the Comic Association,
Hmm.
which is the website is there. They can contact us and we will can arrange for you to come and pick up.
Uh-huh.
And we had the shop at the supercross.com
Mm-hmm.
is the website, and we're just populating the shop for Singapore readers where we can have it mailed to them or as they can collect from the association.
Sweet.
Internationally, that will be up by the end of the year for international postage, etc.
Okay. You also just launched your comic book mini series. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, okay, that is Supercross. Okay, that mini series. Okay, that mini series is Supercross, and I was interviewed by JK of Power 98,
Mm-hmm.
and similar to what you're doing here, and that really helped us get a lot of readership at the Comic Con. A lot of buyers came in. They said we sold well over a couple of hundred comics, which is quite a bit, and it's set in Singapore. So on page 1, right, it's 6 comics in a mini series, we call it. Okay, so each comic is about 22 to 24 pages,
Mm-hmm.
and on page 1 of number 1, you immediately see Marina Bay Sands Hotel.
Oh, sweet. MBS.
Okay.
Okay.
MBS, right? Number 2, the first thing you see is Singapore Flyer.
Mm.
Right, there's a lot of landmarks. Even our Goodman Art Center. The Comic Association is based at Goodman Art Center.
Yeah.
There's a big mashup at Goodman Art Center where we destroy one of the multi-purpose halls there. Right? The Ion. There's a big fight at the Ion.
Right.
Okay. Mayor Road in the east. You know the east. Mayor Road,
Mhm.
right?
No,
Right.
actually, I don't know Mayor Road.
Okay. But
Yeah.
Mayor Road is quite a nice condo settlement in the east.
Mhm.
And the 2 main superheroes from Singapore, okay, you've got D. Tomasic.
Mhm.
He's an 18-year-old Malay art student. His secret identity, his name is Rosli Rahim.
Mm-hmm.
right? So Dee Masak is the first superhero, and the other local superhero is Singapore Sling. Her name is Chrissy Lee, and she's a 14-year-old convent girl,
Right.
very bad at math, and her tutor is in Mayor Road. So she gets mixed up in the story a lot. So you'll see a lot of Mayor Road location in the story.
Ah, okay. I'll definitely check this out, man. I think it's awesome that we have a comic book or characters that are based in Singapore, right? So
Yeah.
and if do you guys do workshops for children?
Yes, we have
Mm.
holiday programs actually now next week. We have holiday programs every holiday. So
Right.
normally every March, June, November, December, you'll find we have holiday workshops as well as the ongoing weekly classes, which are Saturday morning and Wednesday evenings. We
Mm.
also do Zoom sessions. COVID was quite good for us
Hmm.
in that where we thought we were going to lose a lot of students when they went online, no, in fact, it increased. We even picked up students from abroad.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So at least there are positives for you, right?
Yes, from that.
That came up from COVID. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, yeah.
So
Always trying to make a good situation of a bad situation. That's always the best thing to try at least.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
everybody should be like this, because there's always positives, always stuff for you to learn from every bad or every good situation. That's just life, right? We are
yeah,
humans, and we do make mistakes. We do go through like a shitty time, but if you can get the positives from it, then life will be
absolutely.
good. Life will be a lot better.
Because at first, when COVID came around, right, everyone, the students were panicking. Oh, do you have to stop the class? Do you have to stop the class?
Yeah.
Then I thought to myself, let's try it online.
Mm,
If they don't like it, because we had no idea if the students would like it. But the funny thing, Noel, right, that online in some respects, okay, now I teach digital art. Okay, we teach traditional and digital. Traditional is paper and pencil.
yeah.
Okay, digital is in the computer. You're using a pen tablet and you're using Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, that kind of thing. Now, other teachers teach traditional and I teach digital. And via Zoom, digital is actually easier because when you share screen, you can get up very close to what I'm doing.
Right.
In the classroom, when they're watching the projector, it's actually more difficult,
Hmm.
right? So again, I would never have guessed this. I wouldn't have known this before the COVID thing.
Yeah.
Of course, some people still prefer the one-to-one contact. They still come to the studio now, but many have stayed online.
Yeah. Yeah.
And during my class, I have my students that are on my laptop. I'm teaching them, via Zoom. But next to me here in the class are the students that have actually come to use the IMAX that are at the studio.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't have done my interviews like this, right? We used to do it out of a studio. And then
Yes.
once COVID happened and, to stay home, be safe. And then I started using this. Right now I'm using Veed, and I'm loving it too much. I get to stay home. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I never came across Veep before, actually. Yeah, this seems like a really good software. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great for podcasters. So I'm trying it out, and it seems great so far. Yeah, no
Yeah.
complaints.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems smooth.
All right, man. So what advice would you have for aspiring stand-up comedians? Like they want to be on the stage, but they don't know how to do it. What's your advice for them?
Well, the first thing is getting stage time, right? And any kind of stage time is going to be a bit harrowing, but you've got to get up there. So now, compared to 2018, when we started stand-up comedy at the castle,
Mhm.
there's a lot more places now to do it. You've got the Lemon Stand, which is a 24/7 comedy club. They have a lot of open mics, right?
Really?
Yeah, the Lemon Stand, Queen Street, I think it is,
Okay.
run by a good friend called Liam McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
He's very funny. They call him Lemon, and that is a dedicated comedy club, and you probably will get a bit of stage time there. You don't have to be
Mm.
fantastic. You could be very new, and there are lots of other comedy joints coming up. They are more for the more experienced comedians, but even they are having more open mics now for the less well traveled, let's say.
Mm.
And we at the Stand Up Conference at the Castle on the third Friday of every month, we have an internal workshop. precisely for the kind of people you're talking about, Noel.
Ah,
It's a closed door event. The only audience are other comedians. You get 3 to 5 minutes. You try out some material, and right there and then we have like an app that we use that you anonymously you give your feedback to the comedian, what worked, what didn't work, and that's helped quite a few of the new comedians get their confidence. I just hosted last month a stand-up special by Tirta Nahari. Tirta is an Indonesian,
uh-huh.
and he came to the castle 1 year ago.
Right.
Total newbie, and he just did a 1 hour special at the projector. I hosted for him, and he was supported by Shafi Kader, fantastic local comic, up and coming, but the guy's solid, and also Justine Chan. He's a Malaysian, very very good, up and coming as well.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So we will get people to check this out. Okay. And then what?
great.
Aspiring artists, like you once started many years ago, right? And you remember how tough it was trying to break into the market or trying to learn stuff. What advice do you have for aspiring artists?
The first thing to get used to is collaboration. Now, okay, I'm coming from a comic book standpoint, not just fine art. Okay, talking from a comic book perspective, if you draw, find a writer somewhere in the world that has a short story. Work with a writer, work with an editor. It doesn't matter if you have 100 stories in your head. What you're going to get used to is a storytelling process. And if you work with a person who is your senior, who can tell you things that you otherwise wouldn't know, no matter how many YouTube videos you watch, how many workshops you attend, you don't know anything about storytelling until you work with a writer or an editor. Get experience, collaborate, work with other people. A big mistake with a lot of up and coming artists of any description is that they become an island. You lock away in your HDB, wherever it is, and you're completely isolated from the world. Certainly in commercial art, that isn't the real world. It's collaboration. And in storytelling, 9 times out of 10, an artist works with a writer. So get used to working with writers, open your mind to different ideas, don't stay in your comfort zone. And the minute you do that, you will reach another level. And you will find it's hard to explain, but when you start doing the right things just come your way. It's not, I can't explain it. I don't know if it's laws of attraction. It's a psychologist, a guy called Dr. Phil, I can't remember his second name now. He gives talks. He did a PhD paper on the physics of attraction. And certainly, if you think positively and you do the right things, I cannot explain it, but things happen. People appear from, you don't know how that person got there or how you made that contact. But if you do the right things with the right attitude, things will just materialize in front of you. But you've got to start doing the right things and thinking in a positive way.
Correct.
If you start thinking that you're never going to get anywhere or nothing can happen, nothing will happen.
Yep. Yeah. With my life coaching workshops, that's what I tell people all the time.
Yes.
There's no point that you repeat your affirmations, and you do your meditation and all when you're not clear up here. When you're not
Yes.
positive up here, nothing is going to happen.
No, it's strange. It sounds. I mean, I heard this when I was much younger, but it doesn't sound real until you actually practice it. And the minute you get into a downward spiral of negativity follows.
Yep, they will follow you wherever you go, man.
Yes, people will even change their location. They want a fresh start. You could go to a different country, a different town, a different HDB.
Yep.
If you go there with that attitude, it will follow you there.
Yep, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I like you, man. You're such a happy, positive person, and you just gave really good advice. Really good advice.
Thanks, man.
Now
your hair yellow.
we should catch up, man. We should catch up. Have like teh tarik or like kopi or something, right? And then let's just talk about life. Huh?
Absolutely, 100%, man. Because there's another side of me, which is, I wouldn't say darker, but way more serious than this. But it all links, and I think I want to say that off camera. I don't fancy getting cancelled here tonight.
Okay, we'll do that. I'll drop by Hougang Avenue 8.
Ken,
Yeah, just do
I'll
two.
buy you a chicken rice. You can try out local chicken rice.
Oh man. Okay, okay, that sounds good.
Sure, man.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I appreciate it. We're
Thanks
gonna
for
put
inviting me,
all
man.
the links for you so people, don't have to Google. Right? We're gonna do it for them and then yeah, they can check out your stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, Noel.
All right, you're welcome, brother. Take care, man.
Yes. Thanks everyone for watching. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.